in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, the MC will take over from now, and then we'll hand over to the moderators after the remarks from Nuncio and the Director General of Republic Diplomacy.
Great.
And if I may remind all the speakers to mute first, because we're going to have a ceremony, opening ceremony first, I think, yeah, Pak Dubes. So maybe all the speakers can mute their, yeah, okay. So I think everything's good.
Selamat siang dari Jakarta dan selamat pagi dari Roma. Saya menyampaikan salam hangat kepada semua perwakilan agama yang hadir dalam webinar ini, khususnya bagi umat Muslim yang merayakan bulan Ramadan. First of all, allow me.
Excellency, I'm sorry, Excellency, we may start after the MC give you the floor. After this, I'm very sorry.
Director General of Information and Public Diplomacy, His Excellency Teuku Faizasyah, Apostolic Nuncio to the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Archbishop Piero Piopo, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to the Holy See, His Excellency Mr. Amri Jinangkung, distinguished speakers and moderators, participants of the Interfaith Dialogue. A very good morning and good afternoon. We conduct this event according to the COVID-19 safety regulations. All participants present physically in this room have taken antigen tests with negative result beforehand. On behalf of the organizer of this initiative, the Indonesian Embassy to the Holy See, and the Directorate General of Information and Public Diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I would like to welcome you all and express our appreciation for your participation. Youth undoubtedly can play a key role in spreading a culture of peace, tolerance, and mutual understanding among different cultures and faiths. In the digital age, where we can interact better with wider community, this role has become more vital. Today's dialogue will focus on that, on the role of youth in building and sustaining religious tolerance in digital era. To begin our program today, I would like to kindly invite Apostolic Nuncio to the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Archbishop Piero Piopo, to deliver his remarks. Excellency, you may have the floor.
Terima kasih banyak, thank you very much. Saya menyampaikan salam hangat kepada semua perwakilan agama dan hadir dalam webinar ini, khususnya bagi umat Muslim yang merayakan bulan Ramadan. But first of all, allow me to thank all the authorities, and especially Ambassador Laurentius Amri Jinangkung, and all the distinguished guests and all the participants for organizing and, of course, participating in this very significant virtual meeting, making one anniversary more of the diplomatic relation between the Holy See and the Republic of Indonesia. 71 years ago, in fact, the Holy See, tying such relations, trusted fully in a very noble nation who recently had achieved independence. And now we manifested the same trust on the youth of the Republic of Indonesia, who in many ways aspire to build up our society into an exemplar pattern of coexistence among different cultures, way of thinking, and religions.
Sì, fatto la connessione.
Grazie, bravo Padre Leonardo. Today, young Indonesian people are on the way to have greater stability in some aspect of their life, such as economy, mutual relationships, career. In general, they have high aspiration to be excellent in many fields. to acquire competence in order to contribute better for the improvement of the society. Unfortunately, this desire for excellence not always is accompanied by the same commitment to build such excellence on solid and true foundations, which implies among the most urgent the need to know more deeply their respective religious tradition. On the other hand, in social media, sometimes certain persons can say whatever they want about religions, even in a critical or, unfortunately, offensive way, thus making others feel doubt about their own conviction and weaken their belief. In addition, hate speech, hoax are circulated easily on the web, so that this behavior can lead others in error, consequently in violence or intolerance. Dear friends, in such a situation, young people are called to be protagonists of their future, building bridges of friendship, to reach out toward people of different religions, to promote peace and collaboration. And since they are the future of this nation, they should be credible, yes, credible witnesses of their faith, spreading truth and love, dispelling prejudice and misunderstanding, showing also a convinced religious identity, because this identity does not mean imposing their faith to others, but living it fully in love toward God and toward the neighbors, and thus being capable to strengthen and to ameliorate the entire community. Surely, this is a greatly demanding task, which requires wisdom, determination, prudence, patience, endurance, and of course, dialogue and collaboration between all the parties concerned. So as an introduction to our debate, I would like to offer humbly a simple contribution to this subject in order to help young generation, but also our generation, no more young, to build strong bridges of friendship and to promote always religious tolerance. To do so, according to my humble conviction, three kinds of formation are needed. Pertama, formation in truth. Young people should be invited to discover more the richness of spiritual teaching of the respective religions. Of course, part of this formation is to know their religious doctrines, which today sometimes are ridiculed or fear lest they will be brainwashed and transformed into extremists. However, truth about God, about men, about how our loving Creator wants us to live our life here on earth, are a sure guide to achieve happiness, both in earthly life and in the eternal one. These truths are certainly should ennoble and dignify man, because the true God is he who desires our happiness, not our annihilation. Young people surely are not called to be all religious experts or theologians, but at least they must understand well the base of their own belief, being able to spread truth and to correct kindly error, especially in the digital world. Well formed in this way, formation in truth, They will be able to achieve a clarity of mind, which is not easily shaken or misled by provocation or by misunderstanding or by emotional way of life. Kedua, second formation, formation in love. In order to escape from temptation of being arrogant because of the respective religious belief, I think it is necessary to cultivate the attitude of love toward all our neighbors. Coercion, violence will not be able to touch the heart of others, but acts of love do, even in a simple and little way. I am always amazed here in Indonesia. Why? Because conveying greetings toward other people who celebrate their religious solemnities and feasts, helping to protect others' house of worship. Here in Jakarta, there is a wonderful example. Istiqlal dan Katedral, always helping each other in every important Muslim feast, in every important Catholic ceremonies, providing also basic necessities to those in need without discrimination, without converting them to another religions, are very common example here in Indonesia. I strongly believe that this act of love should be more known and more spread in our nation, as well as an exemplary way to act, even in other nations and in other contexts. And the third, ketiga, formation in consistency, formation in coherence. This particular formation is needed, not only among young people, but also among us, religious leaders. It must be a standard way of life to be achieved by us, by teachers, by formators of young consciences. As of our topic, if young people are active in social media, they must be encouraged to harmonize their real life and their digital life. They have to cultivate their real life, not only following religious ritual routinely, but living their religious conviction to the best of their ability, and by understand clearly why I am living it, why I choose it, why it is for me better to choose and to live my religion. Their digital life should precisely reflect their real life, and their real life should manifest their respective religious beliefs and spiritual values. Only in this way, I think, young people, but all of us, will be able to be a credible witnesses and ambassadors of peace and tolerance. In fact, the reason why some people are having bad opinion today throughout the world among religions and starting to abandon them is precisely because they find a big gap between spiritual values and real life, as well as between the digital way to express it and the real way to express it. Finally, it is my wish from Jakarta. At my back, you can see the Nunciatura, Kedutaan Besar di Jakarta. I wish also from Jakarta, through this webinar, which is reaching many people around the world, and many young Indonesian people, my wish is that young Indonesian people would build a better nation also, desire and achieving excellence in their religious and spiritual tradition. At the same time, may they, through their digital engagement, spread currently the truth in love and love others in truth, in order to instill in our Indonesian society the essential spiritual gifts really needed for its development, which are harmony, fraternity, and peace. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and good afternoon once again.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I would like to call upon Director General of Information and Public Diplomacy, His Excellency Teuku Faizasyah, to deliver his keynote speech. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, MC, for the time allocated for me. Your Excellency, Archbishop Piero Piopo, Apostolic Nuncio to the Republic of Indonesia. Your Excellency, Mr. Amri Jinangkung, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to the Holy See, distinguished speakers and discussions from Indonesia and Vatican, my two friends as a moderator, Pak Cornelis Purba and Ibu Nita Adisa. Ladies and gentlemen and colleagues, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Namaste, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Good afternoon, Indonesian time, and certainly good morning for colleagues in Italy. Let me first and foremost extend my sincere appreciation to Indonesian Embassy to the Holy See for initiating an interfaith dialogue web seminar involving speakers and discussions from both Indonesia and the Holy See. Warm greetings from Jakarta to all speakers and participants. I commend the organizer for imparting us with all the enthusiasms and high spirits for this event, a much needed energy booster, I should say, to confront a sense of malaise, fatigue due to the COVID-19 pandemics. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this globalized world, the era of information technology and Internet of Things, ideologies and values are freely contested in the realm of media. We are stormed with informations, news, and opinions that can be accessed easily from the palm of our hands. That being said, exercising extra care on information found in the Internet is highly important. Irresponsible individuals, or in some cases organizations, are actively spreading hate speech and or fake news that cause problems in our society. On the one hand, the social media is increasingly used to disseminate fake news and serve the purpose to sway public opinion, show communal discord, and spread hatred. On the other hand, online media and technology platforms play a critical role in overcoming cultural differences, misunderstanding, and misleading contents. So in essence, how to use the information technology wisely and with responsible. In addition to fact-checking, we need to equip ourselves with the good virtue of tolerance, better understanding, and mutual respect in our interaction with different and among diverse cultures. The challenge posed by misuse of information technology and social media platform is felt not only here in Indonesia, but also all over the world. It is therefore important that we continuously invest in consensus-building efforts and, where possible, act as catalysts to bring about better understanding among cultures. In managing diversity and religious freedom, Indonesia remains committed to advancing moderation, dialogue, and tolerance, both at the national and global levels. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we at the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs decided to postpone many interfaith dialogue events. This is quite unfortunate, as interfaith dialogue is part and parcel of our public diplomacy tools, within which we advocate our national traits and identities of tolerance, unity in diversity, and to counter radicalism and terrorism. Through interfaith dialogue, we promote the habit of dialogue for sure. And since 2004, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has 34 bilateral interfaith dialogue partners. In the regional and global platform, Indonesia participates in many dialogues with regional organizations and is very active in the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations and Organization of Islamic Cooperations. After 16 years promoting bilateral and multilateral interfaith dialogue, we see the merit of involving more of our youth, the young generations. Indeed, to nurture religious moderation in the digital era requires active participation of our youth. The millennial or recently the Generation Z. Now is the time and even increasingly important to empower our youth, because we are convinced message of tolerance delivered by the youth will generate more positive impact. Therefore, revitalization of interfaith dialogue in the digitalized era is of utmost importance. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I found today's interfaith dialogue involving speakers and discussions from the Holy See bear significant message. As the Holy Father has said, an extraordinary role model upon interreligious tolerance. I like to mention a few of them. The Second Vatican Council from 1962 until 1965 is a declaration of the relationship of the Church to non-Christian religions, and which includes the Church's renewed perspective toward Islam, and calling for all to lay to rest the conflicts of the past and work together for the benefit of all mankind, as well as peace and freedom. Second is Kalimantun Sawa, or a common word between us and you. An open letter dated 13 October 2007 and signed by 308 Islamic scholars and intellectuals from around the world and addressed to Pope Benedict XVI, as well as all church leaders globally. And this can serve as an instrument of peace for humanity. We all know the open letters was overwhelmingly welcomed by all church leaders, recipients. And the third, perhaps, the Human Fraternity Declarations, which was signed by Pope Francis with Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib, the Al-Azhar Grand Imam, during his historical visit to United Arab Emirates from 3 to 5 February 2019. It is a testimony of commitment of the Second Vatican Council, the Commonwealth, and the agenda of harmony. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as a final note, I would like to reiterate that the objective of today's interfaith dialogue is to share experiences in promoting harmonious relation among faith. We hope the dialogue will serve its purpose of generating learning process for us all in order to help formulate policies in dealing with multiculturalism that will benefit the people and their social welfare. I wish you all a fruitful discussion and a constructive one. I thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, now it's time to start our discussion, which will be facilitated by our ST moderators, Mr. Cornelius Purba, Senior Managing Editor of Jakarta Post, and Mrs. Nitya Anissa, News Anchor at Kompas TV. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Purba and Mrs. Anissa.
Terima kasih Ibu Elsa, Pak Cornelius Sifai, May. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning for those live in Italy right now, and also at the same time, good afternoon for those who's participants in Indonesia. Terima kasih. Thank you for joining us in this webinar. I think our theme today is very specific, is very important: youth and religious tolerance in digital era. When I and Pak Cornell discussed about this theme a few days ago, it reminds me about the UNESCO constitutions reads, this is very important for me. I think I'm going to read it for you. Since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defenses of peace must be constructed. So I think these fine lines, these short lines from the UNESCO constitutions allowed me to think about how important we are to not only implementing, but we have to believe in tolerance will we achieve peace at the end. So I think our theme for today is very important for us because people today live closer together, I think closer than ever before, but such as intolerance, prejudice, misunderstanding, social fragmentation, violent extremism remains in this world. So all of this undoubtedly raises new questions about the meaning of progress for peace and sustainability, for intercultural and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. And I think in this context, sustainability context, the promotion of cultural diversity is not just a matter of governments alone, but for all segments for society. So I think our highlights for today, how to engage youth as frequent users of technology development to play more roles in interfaith, intercultural dialogues and implementation. I think this is the goal for our discussion for today. So it is best for me to introduce our speakers for today, because we right now have representatives from 6 youth religious organizations. We have representation from Islam, Catholic, Protestant, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. I think it's an honor for us also to have a representative as discussants from the Vatican today. And I would like also to just maintain the time that we have today. I'm gonna mention of the speakers. For first, I would like to invite Mr. Saiful Umam, member of Interreligious Commission, Indonesia Ulama Council. Good afternoon, Pak Saiful. Thank you for joining us today in this webinar. I hope you're doing fine. How's your fasting today?
I'm good. I'm okay.
You're good, okay.
Yeah.
And also we have Mr. KS Arsana as the chairman of Public Communication Department of Indonesia Hinduism Society. Papa Arsana, selamat sore, good afternoon, Pak Arsana.
Selamat sore, good
How are
afternoon.
you?
Everybody, namaste, Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum, Namo Buddhaya, Shalom.
You look great today. So we actually have 5 of the speakers at the same room that the committee has provided. We also have Romo Franz Christi Adi Prasetya as the Secretary of Commission of Youth, Indonesia Bishop Conference. Selamat sore, Romo.
Good afternoon, good morning.
And also, this is what I call the beauty of having this kind of technology, because even though one of us cannot join in the same room today, but we can still gather to discuss the same issues. We also have Mr. Abdil F. Tanias, Executive Board Member of Communication of Churches in Indonesia. Selamat sore, good afternoon, Mr. Abdil.
Selamat sore, good afternoon, and good morning.
Mr. Abdil is currently in Papua, yeah, right now, yeah? Working on some community projects. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Abdil. And also, I would like to go back to our speakers, who's already gathered in the same room right now. I would like to present Biku Damavudo, committee member of the Representatives of Indonesian Buddhists. Good afternoon, selamat sore, Biku. Terima kasih sudah bergabung bersama kami di webinar kali ini.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nitya, and all the speakers. Selamat sore and good morning to Vatican. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we also have, as the representatives of the youth, we have Brina Mevita Wanli as the Vice Secretary General of Indonesian Confucian Youth. Good afternoon, Brina. Thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here. Good morning for those in Vatican.
And as I mentioned earlier, we're not only that we have 6 representatives from youth religious organizations in Indonesia, but we also have joining us through this webinar online. We also have discussants from Vatican. I would like to introduce Reverend Father Marcus Solo, Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue. Good morning, Romo Marcus. Romo Marcus, if you may unmute the speaker so we can hear your voice clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Good morning from the Vatican. Good afternoon. Good evening to everyone, to each and everyone, wherever they are. You are. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It is our pleasure to have you here. Although we're kind of separated by the distance, but I think our hearts remains the same in the same room. Thank you, Father Marcos. We also have Dr. Valeria Martano as a Community of San Egidio Special Advisor for Asia. Good morning, Dr. Valeria.
Good afternoon. Indonesia. Thank you very much for having this chance of this great meeting.
It is our pleasure. I remember that in 2018, I think you received the awards for Indonesian culture. So I think your part being here for our discussion will be huge. It will be giving a huge impact for us because you can give us a whole perspective of how is it going intercultural issues in Indonesia and Asia in particular. Thank you, Dr. Valeria.
Thank you very much.
And also, I think we're waiting for Professor Pasquale Basta as a Vice Rector, Urbaniana Pontifical University. I expect that Professor Basta will be joining us very soon for this webinar. But I think we can start this webinar right away, because what I heard from the committee that this webinar has reached almost 1,000 registered participants. It's amazing. In several weeks, you've all gathered here, almost reached, I think it's around 800 participants already joining us through webinars and also in the YouTube platform, came from various background, profession, religions, and also lots of background. Oh, okay. I think we already joining us today, Professor Basta. Professor Pasquale Basta, Vice Rector of Urbaniana Pontifical
Good morning,
University.
everybody.
I think.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Professor Basta.
Good
How are
morning.
you today?
Very well. In Rome, the weather is nice because we are in springtime. No, not so nice. It's a cloud. Really, Father Marcus, okay.
I heard that it's raining
I
there.
awake very soon in the morning because I pray at 7 o'clock in my little church.
I see.
Okay.
So I heard also from Dr. Valeria that in Italy the weather is raining right now, but I hope it's still gonna give us some warm vibe for today's discussion, because I think it's very, very important for us to discuss this intolerance and interfaith in digital era. I also would like to thank His Excellencies Archbishop Piero Piopo to open this webinar earlier, and also Your Excellencies Bapak Tuku Faizasha. I think what Your Excellencies Piero Piopo and also Tuku Faizasha mentioned about how important youth take part in this digital era, it's very important. But I think the bigger questions will be how and in which state that we are going to have youth take roles in these issues. Also, Pak Cornel, would you like to add something before we begin the discussion? Pak Cornelius, I think you have to unmute the speaker first.
All right.
I see. There you go.
Just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay, because I think what's important for me and Pak Cornel is the how to highlight the youth engagement for today, because I heard that we have lots of participants from younger generations. So I would like to remind all the participants that we have two different channels actually in this Zoom webinar. One channel is going to provide you for writing your feedbacks. You can write your feedbacks in the chat room only. And for those who want to ask questions, you can use the question and answer column at the bottom. You can write your questions and it will be curated by the committee. And we're gonna bring up the questions in the discussions later on. It's just a little settlement for the speakers and also for the participants. So I see that lots of people smiling here. I think we cannot wait to open this discussion. So without further ado, I would like to ask the first question for today's webinar. Pak Cornel and I, we've talked about what can the youth do, since the tolerance, it actually has diverse understanding. So my first questions would be, since we're witnessing more violent acts in the name of religion, and sadly many were radicalized youth, they're also using communication technology to deliver the radicalization materials. So I wonder, what are your thoughts as a speaker, as the representatives of the youth organization, how these phenomenons, what should do and what we should not be done? How youth can becoming more radicals? What is actually the main problem of this phenomenon? I would like to hear the thoughts of, if I may, I would like to hear the thoughts of Professor Basta first, if you don't mind, Professor Basta, about this phenomenon. Yes, I think it's very important to find out what is the roots of this phenomenon that many of youngsters today, they are radicalized in such a sad way. What do you think of this phenomenon? What really happened?
Okay. I teach in the university, Urbaniana University, is the missionary university of the Propaganda Fide, the Holy See, and we try to teach the value of universalism. Catholic means universal. This is the real meaning of Catholic, not to be cut all on, according the whole, the totality, universalism. It means also going beyond the ethnos, the idea of nationalism, no? Going beyond this ethnicism to bring all men together beyond national belonging. The church, the idea of churching is to create unity in diversity. This is the teaching of St. Paul in letter to Ephesians. No? It is important to be united, but it is also important to be different, because difference is also richness of many aspects of the culture, no? Of different cultures. It's important to be different, but it is also important to be united in our difference. I am very lucky because I live with and I teach and I live with students coming from Asia, Africa, Latin America, Europe, not so many students, but living together in this university where students come from all over the world means educate myself, but also my colleagues, to multiculturalism, to mutual respect, trying to live in friendship. Many times throughout the history, some men have taught in terms of tolerance and universalism. Not only now, I think in this moment, for example, Ciro the Great, the emperor of Persia, because he cultivated the great dream of peace beyond the religion particularism, no? But also Alexander the Macedonian with the Stoic philosophy, Epictetus, Seneca, Marco Aurelio. Is important their sentence, I am a man, I think nothing human is alien to me. Homo sum, nil humanum alienum esse a me puto. The idea of the cosmopolites, dwelling of this city that is the world, all the world, this idea of a cosmopolitan idea was born with them. Jesus spoke to the consciences of men going beyond nationalism, but St. Paul for us is very important because St. Paul brings faith in Christ among peoples by going beyond nationalism. It's important, this sentence of Paul, there is no longer Jew and Greek, no longer Jew and barbarian, no man and woman, no longer slave and free, because we are all one in Christ, obviously. But it's important, this aspect of Pauline mission beyond the Mediterranean area at that time. Unfortunately, throughout history, this has been forgotten many times, but today there are signs of a resurgence of tolerance, because also the digital era, I think, can be a big opportunity to discover, to appreciate the difference of culture and the richness of culture. My experience in this university is to evaluate and appreciate the richness of each culture coming from a different part of the world. Diversity is richness. Also unity is a big value, but the unity is true when we are also with our background of difference and because it's not matter to cancel the diversity, but to evaluate, to appreciate, because nil humanum alienum esse a me puto. Okay, it's clear.
Yes. I think it's very interesting that you've mentioned about how in the digital era we are able to communicate more. We're able we have more access. We have more access to find out what we're made of, I think. But in other way, I think
yes,
it's also enlightened that we have so many differences that only can be that only can be bridged by tolerance itself. I would like to hear the thoughts from Dr. Valeria. You know how things are going, especially in Asia, how we are very we have various race, culture. We've been dealing with intolerance for so many time. what do you think, what's different right now with, the technology improvement right now?
And thank you for the question. I think that it's really amazing that Asia is the most diverse continent. It's rich of cultures, languages, and religions. If I may say, I think that the issue of the digital era is that it is a challenge.
Indeed.
But the challenge can also be an opportunity. I mean, let's imagine if the COVID pandemic would happen without this. But not only because we were not be able to be here to share.
We probably see face to face, Dr. Valeria.
Sorry?
We probably be able to discuss this face to face if it's not in pandemic era.
Not in pandemic.
Yeah.
Imagine the pandemic without the digital occasions. Also the exchange of knowledges, the quickness for the vaccine. So I mean that we live in an era that's a challenge. I mean, Asia is really, in a sense, the forefront of the world, because we are going to a world that's multicultural, pluralistic, and so on. This is also why we from Sant'Egidio, we love so much Indonesia, because Indonesia contains all these challenges, but it has taken it as a big opportunity, which is the Pancasila, the Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, the idea that now Father Pasta said it was also shared by our apostle of the peoples, that's St. Paul. And this is very, very interesting, because being diverse but united. I think this is really the challenge that Asia offers to the world, and that Indonesia has made a great richness of this. The digital area is a challenge because in this way we can enrich more the exchange between people, cultures, languages. Yes, we can have many fake news, we can have many bad use of this mean, but we say that the tool is not the killer. Yeah. A knife can be used also to cut cake.
It is the human that use tools.
Yeah, so I think that we are living really an interesting time, and that Asia is that today has a big, also big strength on big power on economic level, but it is the time to say, and also Pope Francis is saying very clearly in the Fratelli Tutti, all brothers and sisters, the last encyclical letter, it takes this chance, and it is very interesting that it is addressed to the Asian world through, as it was mentioned, the meeting with the Grand Imam Al-Tayyab. And I think that this idea of a multipolar, multicultural world is an Asian richness that must be taken into deep consideration of many levels, not only the religious level, but also the cultural or even the economic level. Because we are facing a world, you see, it's just the last sentence I was to say, when I start coming to joining Indonesian people, it was in the early 90s. And I was amazed by the fact of Indonesia was so rich in cultures. But in Europe, we still were a very white world. Today, if you go around in Rome or in any other European country, we meet the Muslim is the shop in front of us. We buy flowers, it's from Egypt, and we buy fruit from Bangladesh, and we have Algerian boys at school. So we, the Europeans, are learning this multiculturalism. And so this exchange is very, very important. And I think I'm very convinced that the digital era is a challenge and an opportunity that we, the believers of any religion, have to take. Don't let the hatred steal from us this weapon, because this is a peaceful weapon that we can use. If we learn how to use it, will be really the brick that can build up the new society for this century.
Yeah, Dr. Valeria, maybe we have now come to Dr. Saiful from Indonesian Council, Ulama's Council. Pak Saiful, not just a member, not just an ulama in the council, but also a senior lecturer at a state Islamic University. Pak Saiful, could you share your knowledge and what information you have about this issue in Indonesia? Please, Pak Saiful.
Thank you, Pak Cornelis and Nitya. Since I haven't greeted the participant of this session, let me start. Let me begin by greeting all of us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Salam,
wabarakatuh.
Namaste, Om Swastiastu, Nama Budaya, Salam Kebajikan, and salam sejahtera buat kita semua. It's complete. Let me clarify first that because Nitya mentioned we are from the youth organization, right? So I should clarify this. I'm a member of the Indonesian Ulama Council, Majelis Ulama Indonesia, and specifically in the Commission of Interreligious Harmony. I should clarify that so far MUI or Indonesian Ulama Council has no, let's say, commission or wing for the youth discussing or having a program specifically addressed to the youth. But this event, I think it's a good idea that inspired me. Maybe in the future, I think it's not bad, and I think it's a good idea also to think about the section of the Indonesian Ulama Council to, let's say, to set up a commission that deal with the youth problem in the future. So thank you for inviting us in this session. Okay, answering the question that proposed by Pak Cornelis and also previous by Nitya, I would say that of course in general, I would say that the tolerance of youth to the, let's say, to the other religious followers in Indonesia, it's very high. It's very high. I know that there is a tendency of increasing cases involving the youth in, let's say, not only in interreligious cases, but also in terrorism. A couple of cases that happened in Indonesia several weeks ago involve the young generation, because although they're not really youth, but they're in the mid-20s. Yes, we have to be careful of this trend, and then so that's why I think all of us, all of government, and also the civil society, and also religious communities need to work together to spread the what is called the peace and tolerant messages of our religion, of our belief to the youth. And regarding the internet, the social media, the easy communication tool now is, yes, as Dr. Valerie said, it's a challenge, but also an opportunity for us, for people who believe in the peace value of religion, to spread that messages through the social media. We noted also that those people, the young people who, let's say, who become radical, who are radicalized, many of them also through the internet, through the social media. So that's why, as Nitya, I agree that this internet, this social media has two, what is called two
sides of coins.
Yeah, two sides. The good side and the bad side. But internet is there. We cannot resist the internet. So we have to utilize the internet for our good messages. And this is challenge for us, for all religious community who believe in harmony, who believe in the peace, who believe in what is called the tolerance. We have to work together for that one.
Yeah, noted that, Pa Saiful, because as I followed Abdul as one of speakers today, Abdul has been using his social media, his social media platforms to really channel the community service spirit, I think. So if I may, Abdul, maybe you can share with us, because I think in this situation, it seems that youth has so many homework. It's not only that we have to find our identity, we have to try to achieve our dreams, but also we have challenges nowadays. We have to build a positive community based on tolerance and pluralism. What do you think? What do you think of these challenges, especially for the younger generation?
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity to take part on this discussion today. And I think I would like to mention about what already said before from the Dr. Valerie, that in this digital era, we may find that these tools, the internet and all the tools that we need for internet connections is one of the big opportunity for us to connecting, especially in this moment like today, when we face the coronavirus and so on. But in the other hand, we also see that these tools also become a challenging for us, especially for the young people, for using these tools for express themselves, or express their belief, or express their thoughts and so on. There are a lot of young people who are affected by the information that they get from the internet, from especially the wrong information about the other religions, or about the religions, or about the other community that become their opinion, and they don't clarify it to those who are from that religion. So based on that, they just build the prejudice. They have the prejudice. They build the misunderstanding of people who come from different religions or different.
It becomes undeniable, yeah, Abdul. Yeah.
Very deniable, but they, in the same time, they will find another clarification for those who they believe. Like, let's say they just go to, they didn't looking for the many reference, many resources to confirm, to clarify what he find out already.
So you're saying that we need another approach, since it's so abstract, and if you search everything in the internet, it seems it's like so many hoax and provocative issues and news. Do you think that we need another approach, especially for youth?
I think internet, you can find anything in internet. You can find any good news. There is a lot of good news about the good relations in the differences of religions in Indonesia or anywhere. You can find many good information about success story to build the strong relationship among the differences, especially in Indonesia. But in the same times, you can also find the you can find hoax, misleading information about the religions or the community. So the problem is they didn't ask to the right person. They didn't try to find the right person.
Yeah, Abdul and Pak Saiful just now mentioned Okay, it's the digital, Dr. Valerie also. But how, if there is a social or a religious organization in Indonesia at the leaders level, it seems everything okay. Very different in the grassroots. Even at the high level, using digital, everything looks okay. Majelis Ulama Indonesia, the Hindu, the Confucians, but very different grassroots. But I don't think, should we blame this digital world for this or something mislinked?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has a huge gap on it.
I think there is the mislinks. Yeah, I agree with Romo Cornelius.
I'm the Romo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is some mislead information that makes the huge differences in the young generation and also the religious leaders in the top level. Sometimes, like in the top level, among the different religions, people, I mean, the religious leader can sit together, can make like a warm dialogue. Looks like very looks like very comfort one each other. But in the grassroots, as you mentioned, it's totally different because sometimes I just think that maybe the values that the top leaders of religions want to share is not really go to the local level, like local leaders or the local religious leaders. So because of that, I don't know, this gap may.
Maybe we want to hear also Manitia from the Bhikkhu.
Yeah, I would like to hear from Biko, of course. What do you think of this? I might say that we need the different approaches, but I think we need more, how to say it, we need to ground more, I think. Biko?
Yes, okay. So from our side, maybe I have before I answer, I have the one parables. Upon the time, one disciples come to his masters, and then he asking to his masters, Master, how can we make what we said, land become a good way? Because if I walking, then can hurt my foot. And then the master said, okay, you no need think to make all the land become smooth, but you only use the shoes. So the thing is, come back to our side, ourselves. Because why? Because when we use the internet, yeah, I'm also from the Venus University. We know how to the technology come, and then if we see the internet, we cannot stop, but we can use our wisdom to how to get the insight, good and bad from the internet. Example, we use the religion become a filters. Every religion in here teach good things. We use these good things before we look something. Example, we get the hoax message, and then we can think first, oh, this is benefit for me or not benefit for me. If benefit, then I accept. If no, then I can reject. So we come to ourselves. Why? Because everything starts from ourselves. Also, the intolerance come from ourselves, from my religion, to my house, to my maybe council, into my country, I'm to the world. So it's become from ourselves. So how do we make the peace come back to from ourselves. Use the religion as filters to make ourselves be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Biku. I wonder what Pak Arsana thought about this issue, about this phenomenon. If the camera can go to Mr. Arsana. Pak Arsana, we've talked about this. It seems like it's just like when you Google something, you need to use the right keyword. So in terms of youth being intolerance or have a tolerance for others' religions and in these Indonesian cultures, what kind of keyword that we have to have in us? I mean, like, where does it come from? Do we need more practice? Do we need more, reliable sources, Pak Arsana?
Okay. Thank you, Bu Nitya, Pak Cornelius. I would tell myself first. My name is Arsana. I was born in Bali, but now stay in Jakarta. When I was child, I stay with the environment, with the nature, mostly is Muslim. I joining the day before Lebaran, Idul Fitri, brings light in the night together. We call takbiran here.
Yeah.
When I was in junior high school, I appointed by my teacher become a leader of a ceremony we call Maulud Nabi Muhammad, ceremony of the Muhammad Prophet. When I was in the high school in the city, moved from the village to the city. In the school, there's no Hinduism teaching there. Then I following Muslim, Islamic, and Christian. So by nature, I was build my interfaith dialogue within myself.
I see, because you've experienced.
Back to your question. Technology, including the technology information, technology communication that we call internet and whatever social media, is there. It is a fact in our life. Technology like knife depend on what we use of the knife. If we use knife for cooking, will be good for our family. But if we use the knife for criminal, the knife will become negative thing. The same as well technology, depend on what we want to use for this technology. The key important thing in this situation is the role of family in our life. How we give a basic values, ethical way in using communication and information technology. Because in the technology, a lot of information there depend on control ourselves, control our family, to differentiate which one can we use, which one is not used. Just for a simple example, when my friend asked me to have a social media like Facebook, Instagram, everything, firstly I refused it. I think it is real negative. But when I rethink again, I come to the conclusion, why don't I use this technology to spread good thing? Then I come to conclusion for myself, I will share case using social media. What is case? Knowledge, something good knowledge. The second I is inspiration. The third S is spirituality, and the last S is social, successful mindset. That again depend on us and how we teach our family to do technology properly and do good thing.
Okay, Pak Arsana, perhaps what's interesting about Bali? But my question is later to Father Marcus. Later you can explain why Hindu is still very strong in Bali. All tourists come from any part of the world with culture, whatever, but Hindu remain strong and they remain faithful to the religion. But later, mungkin Mbak Nitya, we asked Father Marcus first, although he lives in Rome, he comes from East Nusa Tenggara, so must have strong sense of Indonesia still. Father, are you still there? Father Marcus?
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
Okay, Father.
Okay, thank you. I was waiting for my turn, and then gratefully it has come now. Thank you very much. So first of all, let me convey the best wishes of our President of the Responsible Council for Interreligious Dialogue, His Eminence Cardinal Miguel Ayuso, who was invited to be here, but unfortunately he is not able to be here due to previous engagements, and he delegated me to be here. And secondly, I would like to congratulate the Indonesian Ministry for Foreign Affairs and the Indonesian Embassy to the Holy See for this great opportunity for organizing this webinar with this interesting title. And thank you, thank to my previous speakers. So what I am going to say has been mentioned in a way by the previous speakers, but I would like to address my opinion in this way. The youth are the future. It is correct. But the youth are also the present. The future depends on the present. How the future will be depends on the youth of today. This is actually a linguistical game. The present is a gift, a donation. The question is, how could we make use in optimal way of the youth for the future? The future peace and future harmony depends absolutely on the youth of today. And how should we operate in the line of youth in order to have a peaceful future? I think, first of all, His Excellency Apostolic Nuncio Archbishop Piopo has mentioned some, and also the following speakers have mentioned also some. I would like to underline by saying that awakening the true religious awareness in the youth through sound education and an adherence to religious teachings and religious morals, they are imperative. And the second statement I'm going to say, as we are talking about digital era, some have mentioned in a very correct way, Dr. Hillary said, digital era or digital world is an opportunity but a challenge at the same time. And also a previous one saying in the same way, but I also would like to say that digital era is a blessing but also a curse at the same time. Depends how we use the digital era and digital means. But how should we use, how the youth can use it in a positive way? It presumes that somebody must have said them, there is the right way, there is a wrong way. It is like entering a big supermarket. Somebody could take whatever he wants and he would like to use at home. But somebody must have said that this is a good one, this is a bad one. And therefore, my statement here is the education of youth is imperative for the future. Education, it is a Latin word, educare. Educare means bring somebody out, bring people out from darkness, let us say, from the a narrow environment to the bright one. So that is my thesis. Second thesis: education is very crucial for the youth. As Apostolic Nuncio mentioned before, the formation in 3 ways. And I myself, I'm lucky. I'm very grateful to work with the Foundation Nostra Aetate. It is a foundation within this Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue, helping young people from different religions, non-Christians, to come to Rome to deepen their knowledge about people of other religions or about the religions of others in order to be men and women of peace in their own countries. And I'm very grateful to have them here to accompany them and to share my experience with them. And I always taught them the success of our program here is not that you become Catholic or I become a Muslim like you, a Hindu like you, a Buddhist like you. But the success of our program here is that you return home with a stronger identity of your own religion, that you become a better Catholic, a better Muslim, a better Hindu, a better Buddhist, and so on and so on. So I would like to
I'm sorry
encourage-
for interrupt, Romo Marcus, but this is also related to your statement earlier, because we already gathered some of the questions from the participants. I think this could elaborate more. The questions will be like, education, it's such a privilege, not only for the formal education, but also religious education. In Indonesia, in specific Indonesia, there's still a lot of uneducated youth people, especially in some district in Indonesia. What do you think of these issues? Because you've mentioned that education and family is the most important community, is the most important thing to build such tolerance. So what do you think of this situation when education, it is indeed a privilege, Romo Marcus?
I want to Nitya,
yes.
How about the formal education?
Yeah. That will be also the biggest, the bigger questions.
Yes, thank you for mentioning this. So by saying education, I was thinking of different ways of education, as Mr. Cornelius mentioned earlier. So it is formal and informal education. So the right or the correct education or the very education must start from home. So it is the line of informal education, and the society in large should also provide the possibility for education for young people. That is the formal education. So in the document of human fraternity for world peace and living together, Pope Francis and the Grand Imam At-Taib from Al-Azhar University, they also emphasize the same thing, that is the right of young people to have or to enjoy the education. And it is imperative for youth, particularly youth of today. So as I mentioned earlier, if digital era is like a big supermarket, every young person could enter in order to take whatever he wants. So somebody must have taught them or taught him before, don't go in this way, don't enter in this way, in order that the digital era will be used in a very positive means, as said before, as a platform to make dialogue, to make human fraternity, to promote human fraternity, to be brothers and sisters with people of other religions, with all, regardless of culture, religion, and ethnical background. So that is actually the way I think we have to go, the line of education, formal and informal one. And the international surveys, they always say that the youth everywhere, they belong to the vulnerable group of the society who really need help. And therefore, we cannot always say, youth, help yourself, but it is our responsibility also to tell them or to help them to be unvulnerable or to survive the vulnerability. And looking back to our own context, Indonesia, the youth vulnerability has reached a very critical level that we have to say that. And looking back to the facts and what is taking place in our society, this is very sorry, but it is the fact. And I think the education is the line we have to go for the future.
Okay. Thank you, Father Marcus. I would like to move on to Romo Christi, because Romo Christi, yeah, but perhaps if I can go to Romo Christi first, Pak Cornelis, because Romo Christi is really active in social media. So I wonder, this also will be a question from our participants, Melissa Irawati. What is the most effective program that we can do for the youth that make interreligious more effective and maintain the peace and harmony, not to mention getting the formal education, but also the non-formal education for youth, especially being active in social media? It's some sort of informal education, perhaps.
Okay, thank you, Nitya. I agree with Romo Marcus, as he said about education. This is important thing. And I think the government and religious organization need to consolidate the resources about expert and funding to convene interfaith youth accompanied programs. This could be conducted through formal education, but it's also important, I think, to conduct it through a model of experiential learning. Experiential learning. Maybe, for example, live in other religions community, and to create a network which can relate collaborative projects to promote interfaith activities through social media. And maybe I can tell you about strategies about how the Youth Commission of Bishop Conference in Indonesia has strategies to push the youth to take part in amplifying the message of tolerance. In 2016, the Youth Commission initiated an encounter together with Communion of Churches in Indonesia, PGI, Gus Durian Community, Aliansi Nasional Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, and Perhimpunan Pemuda Hindu to conduct interfaith dialogue for the youth, which later called Tembang, Temu Kebangsaan Orang Muda, and or in English, National Youth Gathering. The first gathering was conducted in April 2016 and was continuously convened every April in the following years. And however, it was not convened in 2020 due to the pandemic. Now in 2021, we are preparing to convene it virtually in conjunction with the 8th celebration. And I will say maybe a success stories. The number of National Youth Gathering alumni has reached more than 350 people who come from Java, Borneo, and Sulawesi. And through a 3 days and 2 nights event, they are given the knowledge of the importance of respecting differences of religion, faith, and ethnicities. But in addition, it is more important among the materials, they also discuss how youth from different religions could be involved in the anti-corruption movement, education, environment, entrepreneurship, and media. And this is a success story, but I know we have a challenge, and the challenge is how to weave, in bahasa is menjahit atau menenun, how to weave the resources
which could strengthen this movement. What I mean by resources are experts who are competent to deliver the material in this type of gathering, are also to strengthen funding. Because if we compare with the intolerance movement, sorry if I'm wrong, they also have strong human resources and funding. Because it's easy for them to find experts who can deliver these doctrines. I think this is experiential learning is more important for youth, so we can share with youth other differences, and so we know that we have a challenge to weave resources about expert and funding.
I see.
This is my opinion. Thank you.
Noted, Robo Christi. If I can go to Brina, Brina, you're not only as a youth representative, but you're also an educator. You have experience. So, what do you think of this? We've talked about how important the education, the formal and non-formal education, but we also haven't talked about the responsibility, how younger generations can cooperate with elder generations and with higher level, like government, for example. What do you think of this, homework of collaborations?
Okay, if I may just continue on the previous question, just for a few moments.
Just to add it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just want to kind of combine the comments from Romo Franz and also Romo Marcus, that we do have this formal and informal education, right? And so since I'm also, as you said, that I'm an educator, I'm a lecturer, and I think one of the simplest solution as well is that in a formal education, like for example, in my university, we have a program that if you want to graduate, you need to have social hours. So it is actually mandatory, and it is a program that is real, that it has already been implemented. And in that way, these students who are definitely youths, right, they automatically have to interact with other religions, because when they do social hours, of course, they cannot just choose a certain religion to serve, right? So especially in Indonesia, which is very diverse. So they have interactions, which is what Romo Franz also mentioned, like, so for example, live-in. And it should be inside of the system, of the curriculum. It should not just be, an additional extra program that we take, but it should be mandatory for everyone. Because to be frank, as a youth myself, I know that if you care, you care. If you don't care, you don't care. It means that, just to be frank, of course, everyone who are here are those who care about religion, religious tolerance, right? But for those who don't care, they don't care, even though we are, promoting as much as possible through any social media.
They just won't listen.
They don't care. Yeah, exactly. They're very ignorant towards this, right? And I think we need to have two solutions then. For those who care, we can again promote on social on, because we only need to reach them. As long as we have already reached them, then they are willing to actually, promote peace and religious tolerance, because they care, right? But for those who don't care, then we need to have this again, what Romo Marcus has said, the education, right? So it should be mandatory. And I want to see education as something that is not rigid. It is actually quite flexible, and that is the real life now. Education used to be, we have to change the curriculum. It's going to take 10 years or so, right? But it's not like that anymore, because it's changing. Like, are we doing online learning last year? No, right? It has changed in just a few months that we have to do all of this. So education is something that is becoming more flexible. So I believe that it is not difficult for us to actually implement it, because it has been implemented in my university. So if other universities also implement, this kind of social hours as mandatory requirements for them to graduate, it is also very helpful in two ways. Because then these people who are educated, because they are privileged, as you said, to have formal education, they can go out there and give informal education to those who are poorer, right? Who are not privileged through these social hours. So social hours can also be, for example, out of the 30 social hours, 10 has to be inter-religion. You know, we can always apply this kind of method so that those who don't care will at least have a basic understanding that, there are people of different religion, and if you interact, like in Indonesian, we say, nggak kenal maka nggak sayang. If you don't know, then you don't
You don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't care, exactly. So if they know, they interact, then there is this sense of, we are all actually the same citizens of Indonesia. We are all citizens of the world. So in the end, there is this sense of belonging in a way that we are all just, one family under God, because that's what Pancasila is all about as well, right? The first sila is basically that we are all, we all believe in God. So if we have that basic understanding, again, through education, formal and informal, as well as reaching out those who care from social media, I think it will be a very great solution to this problem.
Nitya, I think we need to ask Dr. Valeria first. How, again, my next question is, from top to the bottom, often there's missing link. For instance, the Pope Francis issued such a beautiful document, and also met with the I don't know, the headline from the Al-Azhar Mosque, that they signed some statement. But there's also a question. I look at the social media. Why the top say they agree, very good, but the grassroots very different. I think it's not the case of Indonesia. How is it from the global perspective?
Thank you for this question, because I think that this must be a worldwide commitment of believers. I mean, filling the gap between the nice words that can be said by the leaders and the ground level, the daily life of people. This is our task. I don't know, we can call it informal education, or we can call it in another way, but I think that the communal actions, communities, ground level communities' role is high, very, very precious. If I may say, this is a bit what is our community of Sant'Egidio in Indonesia, for example. They work on the ground level. During the pandemic, they are groups of Catholic people, but they work for the marginalized people in the outskirts, in the marginalized environments, okay? Now, many of them are working in NTT, in the area of Father of Romo Marcus, where the big flood made troubles. We the leaders of the community, have been struggling to teach them not to make any division, to work together with other ethnic groups, because the problem of ethnic groups is crucial, even inside the same religion. Because we have to admit that sometimes for a Batak, Timorese and the Javanese, also in Europe, we can say the same. It's even sometimes more difficult to get together than between a Christian and a Muslim of such an educated level. So we have to promote this ground level dialogue. Pope Francis speaks of the dialogue of the neighbor, with the neighbor, the man and the woman of the door beside. This is the daily life dialogue. I think that this is very, very important, and this must be promoted. This is our struggle in the community of Sant'Egidio, to promote a group of youth who work together with other group of youth in Jogja, in Jakarta, at the ground level. For example, for the marginalized people, because before it was mentioned the role of education, and Nitya said a very right thing, that education is a privilege. But I want to add that also a good family is a privilege. Sometimes we have to face people, children, street children, who grow up with no education, no good family that can give them a right. These are really victims of the fake news, of the radicalism. They are the target of these groups. We have to work on the ground level. Thank you, Pa Cornelius, for this question, because I think that this is crucial. And this is a commitment of any generation of the religious societies. We are working, the last word, then I give the floor to Roma Marcus, but for example, we have a very good connection with the NU and Muhammadiyah young groups, and in many occasions we have been working together. I think that this is important because working side by side for the same task makes the fraternity, the human fraternity that has been signed by the Pope and by the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, but must be practiced on the ground level.
I couldn't agree more, Dr. Valeria. Yeah, sure, Romo Marcos, if you want to add it.
Thank you. I would like to add something to Dr. Valeria's statement. Well, just to start with this, to repeat that the youth should use the digital media in order to spread human fraternity among the youth and among all people. That is what we are now promoting. Regarding the question raised by Mr. Cornelius and responded by Dr. Valeria regarding the missing link between the top level and grassroots level. Taking an example of the document of human fraternity for world peace and living together. One day after Pope Francis returned from Abu Dhabi to the Vatican, he asked our Pontifical Council, where I'm working, in order to spread the document to the Catholics in all over the world. And we are lucky to do so, and it was going very rapidly because we have a visible hierarchy from the top, from the Vatican to the parish level, to the grassroots level. And we are also lucky to have a lot of organizations, lay and religious as well, like San Egidio and Focolari and etc., etc. And having this visible structure, we can work very well and fastly from the top to the grassroots level. The question I am facing, or the problem I am facing while working in this field for more than 13 years now, having international conferences here and there, producing papers and statements, but then it disappears after we finish or ended up the meetings. It didn't come until to the grassroots level. And that is our real challenge until this moment. Thank you for raising this question. And I see here the challenge of the representativeness in our own religion. The missing hierarchy, visible hierarchy in our own religion expose also certain challenges for dispatching or spreading the messages. And it is really imperative and crucial for our own or respective religious communities in order to promote intra-dialogue, ecumenical dialogue among us, intra-dialogue, in order to support each other, in order to be united, in order to be reconciled, in order to respect the representativeness in our religion. If one is being sent to abroad in order to represent us, coming back with the messages, I think it is essential for us to respect and to accept what he brings back to our country. Unfortunately, many declarations produced in abroad come back to our own countries, to Indonesia, for example, and disappear. And certainly it cannot come into the grassroots level. This is the question of representativeness.
Father, I think we go now, Mbak Nitya. We ask Pak Saiful.
Yeah.
Can I add?
I'll be meaning to ask Pak Saiful also.
Who first, Pak Saiful or me?
Pak Saiful first. Pak Saiful.
Okay, please.
After that, Pak Arsana.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. On the one hand, I agree to Pak Cornelis about the gap when discussing about the gap between the elite, between the declaration and the reality in the grassroots. But I'm not really worried about that for the youth, among the youth.
Why so, Pak?
Yeah, because the life of the youth now, it's not really segregated because of the social media. So the challenge is how we provide them a good example through the social media, through the internet, because they can easily interact to each other despite the difference in the religion. And also responding to Pak Romo Marcus, yes, we as an educated, as let's say an old people have to make sure about the future of the youth, about not let them choose by themselves which good, which not good, for example. But the way we do or the way we guide them should also be should also be adjusted with the condition of the youth now. Therefore, it would be very, let's say, very successful in the future if we find some youth, some influencer who really, let's say, who have a concern with the tolerance, with the peace, education, and to convey our message to them rather than, let's say, do by the old people like us, for example, because the way they communicate is totally different now. If we follow their social media, their TikTok and their YouTube, it's totally different. It's totally different. So, but they easily connect to each other, not only among the youth of the same countries, but different countries, different background, different culture. They can easily connect to each other.
So you're saying, Pak Saiful, that it is actually a better situation. I mean, like youth can cooperate better in this kind of situation with all the social media platform.
Yes, but we have also be careful of the fact that there are also a few, not only few, but many who utilize the social media for their bad messages. And this also happened. I mean, because of the freedom of the internet, the youth can access to many things. As Romo
Mas
Marcus
Abdul said also, yeah.
It's like supermarket that they can pick any. So yes, we have to educate them, not only in the formal but non-formal. But it would be more successful also if we include the youth in the way conveying the good messages to the rest of the youth.
Pak Arsana, do you feel the same? Because I also have the questions from Felisa, one of the participants here. She actually mentioned about cultural intelligence that possibly to be able to help youngsters eradicate radicalism in digital era. What do you think of this, Pak Arsana? And later on, I would like to ask Abdil about this because he's been smiling all the way whenever we mention about youth can cooperate in the situation better. Pak Arsana first.
Please state one more the question. What intelligence she said?
The cultural intelligence. She
Intelligence.
expected that it would help youngsters eradicate radicalism.
Okay. Talking about culture, according to me, is about values. Because whatever the form of culture is based on the values as foundation. Related to the education, formal and informal, I think I can add two things can be practically conducted by the education, informal or also formal education, also in informal education in the home and the social. One, respecting differences. Differences is there, natural situation. Differences is beautiful, including differences in religion. For example, in our hand is beautiful because the 5 finger is different style, different model. If the all 5 finger is thumb, it's not beautiful anymore. Other example, what mean a rainbow is beautiful because different color.
Yes, so many colors.
So educate our people, including ourselves, become role model that respecting differences is natural thing for human being. How to practice it? Just by serving others. That's one thing, respecting differences. Second thing, we need to educate ourselves and our people, surrounding people, youth, also children, according the importance to control ourselves, to have self-control, good self-control. Simply just practice mindfulness. Mindfulness in home, in social, also in education. Why is this important? Mindfulness will come to improvement of the values, human values we call compassion. Education, formal education especially, need to be formally that two things, respecting others by serving others, and self-control through mindfulness should be done in our education and our social environment, including in our family. Then we should be our role model.
What do you think, Abdel? Because I think it feels like we've been in a marathon field. I mean, like, you know, we don't have enough time to spread all the good news, while some people recruits youngs in the radicalism way. What do you think, Abdel?
Yeah, I'd like to, when you mentioned about the cultural
intelligence,
I just thought that people may change their religions, people may change their beliefs when they think these religions is
more suitable. Yeah.
But people cannot change their roots, where they come from, the cultural root. In also about it is the same way when we understand about there are difference in religions aspect, in religion belief, but we are come as one, unite as one, as an Indonesian. This is how I understand about how you mentioned about the cultural people may change the religions, but they cannot deny the roots where they come from. So sometimes the cultural values can help us to unite, still unite, even we are in different perspective, different background of religions. That's what I think. It is also same like, in nationalism spirit as an Indonesian. We know that we are, if we see the, if we believe that we are Indonesian, and Indonesia is our root as a people of Indonesia. If we believe that we are from the same country that we call Indonesia, no matter your different background, religions or cultural, it doesn't matter. We will still believe that we are in the same area. So what become our common problem, what become our common struggle that we have to face together side by side in our differences? It should we face together as one.
Mas Abdil, could you explain specifically about situation in Papua? Does also digital play a role in Papua?
There is Papua is one of the place in Indonesia that we can say that most of the area is lack of internet, lack of technology, lack of and I think that it not just happened in Papua but also in the eastern part of Indonesia, and it's not easy for us to help people connect each other through this device, through this internet and things. And the other part, the biggest challenge here are not all the people, especially in the remote area, who are well educated enough to use this electronic device.
I mean, how interreligion relation affected by this digital absence?
Actually, I still believe that interreligious relations interreligious relations among the people in the place like in Papua or in the eastern part of Indonesia not depends on this no matter I mean I don't know how to explain in English, but not depends on the technology, not depends on device like that we are using today. The real tolerance, the real life of tolerance among the people in differences area is happening in real life, real communication, real relationship. So I think
that's the most important thing to do right now, like living in the real life. No matter how the digital era is so disruptive, became the biggest part of our life. If that's what you're trying to highlight.
Thank you very much for highlighting.
I would like to ask Father Basta about this. I mean, you've mentioned earlier about how a religious leader has a huge part of making sure that the community is a safe environment for youth. But we haven't talked about, like Abdil mentioned, the challenge to get out of the digital of the social media, how to really live on the real life that we're actually, I think it's harder.
Now, this is the reality, because this changement towards the digital era is sure, no? Until 20 years ago, in order to study, you had to go to university, to move yourself to other country, to spend a lot of money, to pay a scholarship. Today, with internet, libraries, virtual room, virtual classes can be accessed from afar. But I think that this is a great moment of democratization of knowledge. The same happened in the past when we went from oral culture to written culture. The same. In the oral culture was required a big number of teachers, and you had to pay teacher. Only rich men could have a teacher in their own house. With books and writings, more people in the past could study. The same is today, because the internet is a great opportunity for mutual, broader knowledge, is a great bridge of encounter between cultures. Obviously, internet is a medium, and it means that internet can be used well or badly. It depends on me, because behind the internet, there are always men who can be children of light, but also of darkness. It is a great opportunity to grow in mutual knowledge in universities, in education, and in tolerance. It is important not to be afraid. When humanity passed from the oral to the written word, there was a lot of fear in the past. Platone, was against the books because for him the best way to teach was the oral communication. But Plato wrote, because the process was irreversible. Today we are going to digital, we are in the digital era. Someone is full of fear, afraid, critical, but the process is irreversible. There are always, I think, pros and cons, pro and contra. Our oral culture was more alive than written culture. No? Human contact is more complete than virtual contact, but the future moves in this way. Oral culture provides that the teacher can correct himself, clarify his thinking, because you have the audience in front of you. The book is silent. The book doesn't speak. The book can be misunderstood and also manipulated. And the same is in the now. The digital culture is not like to go to the library smelling the paper of the book, but without internet, I think we are full of enormous and big problem. It's a challenge. I mean, we are don't be afraid, and but it is a big revolution. And I agree with the Father Marcus. Is a blessing, but we have to learn to use it well.
I see. So by saying that in the digital era, I mean, like internets, it's how can I say that? Let's not take internet and social media. It is a primary tool, but let's not take it as our primary way of living. If that's
in the university.
Yeah.
Now, yes, because due to pandemic situation, we the usual way to teach is by Teams, by YouTube. But I think that pros and cons. Pros, many people can follow the lectures without any problem. But I think is also not the ideal, because the concrete life inside the university, the campus of the university, is another matter.
I see. I would
because
like to hear.
We need also.
Yeah, I cannot agree more, Father. I would like to hear from Biku, because Pak Arsana, we're talking about mindfulness. We're heading towards the end of our webinar, but I would like to hear from Biku. How can we achieve mindfulness in this digital era? How to achieve, the way of living in peace in this digital disruption?
I think
if Biku can answer.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Tia. How to become mindful? Mindful means every our action, maybe also our speaks and mind also be mindful, yeah. And then when we use the technology with mindful, maybe we use with the, for be mindful, we must know first, this is the good or bad. After, we can use the technology when we, example, you browsing, it's not good things. And then if we have the mindful, we know, oh, this is the wrong things. So we can change. Oh, example, we open the, the phonograph or something, and then we mindful, oh, this is not good for me. And then we change to another's, maybe, okay, look the drama Korea or something.
It's really happening right now, Biku. I can understand
better,
that.
yeah. So because if like that, then if we not mindful, but how to be mindful? First, we have the filters. Filters for know, oh, this is good and not good. So after that, we have the mindfulness. Yeah, mindfulness also you can learn in digital era. Have many teaching. We can see and maybe like YouTube or also in IGTV, yeah, Instagram TV or something. It's many now. And then to conclusion this today session, I think we have look the 4 points from my side. The first is looking at our ego. Yeah, why become intolerance? Because our ego. Yeah, this is the first thing. And then the second, if we have the filters. Filters, what the filters? The religion teaching. Yeah. And then the second, and the third, we look again, we build the truth. As a religion leaders, our people will see not our talking, but our action. So if we make the truth, we make the true and good example for them, they will follow us. Yeah, because grace or disciples, I like to say like disciples better. Disciples will look the leaders. So if the leader is good, also the disciples will good. But if the masters or the leader is not good, and then also disciples will not good. And then the fourth is after we make like this, we good action, and then we propagate in the media social. So who care, they will get the positive for this action. If they don't care, but things also not lost. Sometimes when they need, they look, and then they find again. Maybe for me. Thank you.
Noted,
Yeah.
Biku. Last but not least, I would like to hear from Brina, because we've talked about the importance of experiencing rather than just having theory about tolerance. So in conclusion, what do you think the most important thing, how to build, if I might say, identity of peace in this digital era? Brina.
Okay, thank you so much for the question, and yeah. So I think that again, we are still, if we are youths, we are still finding our identity, right? So how can we come up to the final conclusion that our identity is related to peace instead of radicalism, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that of course, as what Biko has mentioned, that we need to make some actions from our side, which are supposed to be religious leaders, that we also do our own, in a way, propaganda, so that it is spread, that the message of peace is spread towards everyone. And I also want to point out the fact that I think we've been discussing about how extremists, terrorism and so on. But I want to highlight what Pak Saiful mentioned, that actually tolerance between the youths are actually quite high, right? So as just for example, very simple example, like for example in social media, nowadays there's a new culture because I think it's from the businesses as well, that we have hampers, right? So we have Christmas hampers, we have Lebaran hampers, we have Chinese New Year hampers. Although it is something small, but it has created a wave in a way that, you know, we started to send out these hampers to those who are celebrating. Lebaran hampers, and during Chinese New Year I will receive hampers, right? It might seem very small, but it is the true definition of tolerance, right? It's even above tolerance. We respect each other. We are happy with them when it's their festivities, right? So even though it seems very, you know, trivial and small, but this also helps to, you know, to encourage the youths to be more tolerant between religions. And also there is also a way for to also, like what you mentioned, that we need to have identity that is related to peace. So in the past, maybe I don't really like to send stuff out to people, but because of a new wave, in a way, you are kind of, you know, you feel the need, because you receive gifts, you feel the need to give gifts, right?
Yeah.
So it is also building up that culture, that identity, you know, that I also want to be good to others, that I also want to be, you know, to bring good to others. So I think that is also one of the way to build up our identity through social media. So it is not even, it's not on purpose, right? It's idea from businesses, but in the end, actually, it does have a good effect for everyone. So I think that we have been too focused on social media being like a bad
influence.
Yeah, but actually, there are lots of positive sides of it. That, like for example, this webinar, right? It's not possible to have 1,000 people gathered in a room. But here in a digital era, we can gather 1,000 people from all over the world to listen to our speech. So I do think that social media is a very good way to spread peace and tolerance between religion. So yeah, that is it from me. Thank you.
Well taken. Such a good point, Brina, to point it out. I think we've reached almost the end of our webinar, Pak Cornelius. If you want to add something before I wrap it up and hand it over to His Excellency's Ambassador, Bapak Amri.
Now just the lady continue.
I see. Thank you. So just to summarize all the statement, and of course I'm taking it from the different questions. My apology that I cannot read all the questions at once, because it's so many questions from all the participants. But thank you for your participation. But
can we add a short closing statement?
I'm sorry.
Each of us give a short
Pak Arsana?
Yes.
I'm afraid that we don't have more time to do that, because it's near our buka puasa ya, sebentar lagi.
Yet still 10 after 5.
Okay, if
shortly, 1 minute only.
So if all the speakers agree, because I was worried a bit, because it's near the time to break the fast. But if all the speakers agree, I think I can give like 2 minutes closing statement for each speakers. But just to make sure that, please be short about your closing statement before I wrap it up. Maybe I can start from Pak Arsana, since the camera is already on you.
Okay, thank you. First, every religion teaching peace. In Muslim, they use word salam. In Christian, they use salam. In Buddhist, they use sadhu. In Hindu, they use santi. All these words mean peace. So realize that peace is inherent in every religion. That's first. Second, religion is inspiration for our better life, not for conflict or doing intolerance to others. The last one, the simple practice to expressing and teaching peace by become an integrity people, consistent between mind, word, including using internet and our behavior.
Your thumb, yeah.
That all integrity is start with the word I, mean start with ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Arsana, for such wise words. Pak Romo, Christy, maybe want to add some closing statement? I think Brina and Biko already added the closing statement beforehand.
We as well.
Okay, thank you, Nitya. I think at first I will start with a belief. What's belief? Well, I think we need to believe that there are a lot of young people who want a peaceful and tolerant Indonesia, a harmony of Indonesia. So if we believe, the second is we need to give a conducive situation or a conducive situation for them to amplify their voices, give them the trust to be involved and take part amplifying the message of tolerance. Therefore, this is the third, youth accompaniment or training or experiential learning for youth is really, really important. This accompaniment or training will create youth leaders who will fight to promote tolerance, not only from social media, but also with their skill to build communication and work together. And fourth, maybe this is my suggestion to all stakeholders. I think all stakeholders must build consolidation of shared resources who have the same vision in conducting interfaith programs to increase the awareness of having a sustainable religious tolerance. This is a far point for me to closing statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Romo Christi. Romo Marcos, I think you want to add the closing remarks, but please please make it short.
Thank you very much. So at the end of this webinar, I would like to, first of all, to encourage young people to be really the present, the gift for the society, and the present, the gift for the future. So I just want to encourage them to use the digital media as the platform or environment to promote peace and harmony. Don't be afraid of the plurality. The plurality is an enrichment. It will not jeopardize yourself and your identity. It is on the contrary. So we have a very long tradition of collaboration interreligiously from the time of youth pledge, Sumpah Pemuda, and up to now. So interreligious collaboration has been a DNA of our society, of our country, and it is our duty, your duty, our youth, in order to continue to bring up to the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Romo Marcos. If Pak Saiful want to say something for the closing remarks?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nitya. As a Muslim, there is a verse in Quran saying that human being is the best creature created by God. So I believe that this situation, the internet thing, the social media, will find a new equilibrium for youth, and I'm sure and let give them opportunity to find a new equilibrium for the, let's say, organization like Indonesian Council Ulama, PHDI, PGI, and KWI. Of course, they still need to supervise to show the, let's say, the teaching, the religious teaching that beneficial not only for them in this life, but in the hereafter. So just to give them guidance, but let them do by themselves and have confidence that they will be able to find a new equilibrium using the internet, using media, social media, and etc. So I'm sure about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Saiful. Dr. Valeria, if you want to give us the closing
well,
remarks.
Very short because time is
Yes.
out. I just want to quote one sentence of our founder, Jesus Christ. He said, "The children of the dark are more clever than the children of the light." This is the point. Now we are children of the light. Every religion are children of the light. In every religion is rooted the respect for the others, the search for peace, and the worship to the universal God. So let us work together and try to be more clever than the children of the dark.
Try to be more clever. That's well said. Thank you, Dr. Valeria. Father Basta, would you like to add some short closing statement before I end up this webinar?
Yeah, a few years ago I read a book. The title was Connected but Isolated. Some aspects of the book are interesting. In this pandemic time, nervous tics have increased among over-connected children. Many psychologists are working on this. Internet helps us a lot, but internet cannot overcome our loneliness. Internet can make us grow in encounter, in friendship, tolerance, but it must never isolate us. The title of the book is not true. Connected and tolerant. Never connected and tolerant only because isolated and indifferent.
Thank you, Father Basta. That's a really beautiful statement to be taken, because digital era, I mean, like the internet should not be taken away the meaning of real life itself. Abdil, Mas Abdil, would you like to add something as your closing remarks, as a representative of the youth, of course? I think you have to unmute first. Yes.
Thank you very much. For me, keeping tolerance should become one of our important and priority agenda, each of us, especially those who are young people. We can start from our local community, and social media must be used for promote our story of keeping peace and harmony by living tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdil. That was packed and short, but also meaningful. So I would like also to thank you for all the participants and all the speakers, the discussants once more. Thank you for giving us your kind words, the thoughtful of this theme of discussions. As I want to recap that, I think we've come to an agreement that tolerance has a diverse understanding. Some my view is as a necessity in individual space, also in public space, but I think the living meaning of tolerance is that we have to really live on the society in different tribes, religions, race, cultures, so we can achieve what we wanted to achieve, that the identity of peace. I know it's very complicated world that we live in, but I think the youth, as the younger generations, has a better hope and better way of implementing this peace, this new way of peace. So I think what should be done is that we can give it as a recommendation to the public policy. I hope that this webinar is not only become one of this webinar that stops only, but I hope that it can continue to bring up more discussions later on. So once again, thank you for all the speakers. Thank you for all the words, the statement. I cannot agree more with what you're saying. Thank you for all the participants. And also thank you, Pak Cornelius Purba, for being here and accompany me as the moderators today. Thank you, Pak Cornelius. If I can wrap it up, the webinar today, I would like to give our last minutes to His Excellency's Ambassador, Bapak El Amri Jinangkung, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to the Holy See. I think Bapak Amri would like to give closing remarks as as the closing statements for our webinar today. If you can join us, Papa Amri.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitya. Thank you, everybody. It was very well. I cannot say anything, but thank you very much.
I think we need more than 2 hours, Pak Amri.
Sure, certainly. We, Excellencies, distinguished speakers, we just witnessed a great discussion on the youth and religion tolerance in this digital era. Let me convey my heartfelt gratitude and highest appreciation for your invaluable thoughts, ideas, and contribution. I have no intention to summarize these great deliberations. You have it yourself. Good ideas and points have been put forward that are really meaningful to further promote peace and religious tolerance. I note several keywords or phrases, however, such as internet as tools for good cause, find the right persons as role models or good leaders. It comes and starts from ourselves, educations, dialogues, and so forth. They are key points, important points to follow up, and certainly important inputs for our recommendations. I'm grateful to our speakers, those who are from Indonesia as well from Vatican. They are really they're young people, young activists, and they're really expert on our theme of discussion today. And I would like also to thank both of the moderators, the professionalism and leadership in the talks. The job well done, I think. If I may, interfaith dialogue acts as a foundation for healthy democratic societies, especially in our pluralistic, colorful world. Dialogue is not just the most efficient way to get to know each other, but also to solve problems and differences. It must become a part of our way of life. Exercise it, we have to exercise it compassionately and everywhere and every time. And interfaith dialogue do not begin and end only in theological conversations in a classroom or even in webinar like this. It must be conducted into real action in real life. It is also a dream to transform the many good ideas from our virtual discussion today into reality. And that is the biggest challenge for us all. Furthermore, I would like also to emphasize, as the speakers highlighted, that the significance of interfaith dialogue revolves around the persons, not his or her religion. It is about friendship, compassion, collective participation in the community, and I believe the youth have a lot of role to play. And I think we all agree that from the webinar we just had, we could not be prouder to witness our youth understanding about the importance of religious tolerance and the active role in promoting interfaith activities both in Indonesia and in international fora. I have profound faith in the youth to be the agent of change in this digital age, to foster mutual understanding, respect other religions and cultures, as well as to promote global peace. Therefore, I would like to encourage all adolescents to play a greater part in interfaith initiative in order to build harmonious community for us now and for generations to come. Once again, thank you very much to all of you. Thank you for your contributions. And for those who observe the holy month of Ramadan, let me extend my best wishes to you all. Thank you very much and stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Bapak Amri, Jinangkung Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to the Holy See. So I think before we wrap up the webinar, can we take a group picture with all the speakers and discussants? I think it will be a great reminder of how we can talk about this kind of issues, and looking forward to another webinar with this same topic. I think those who's been in the same room maybe we can stand a little closer. Okay. All right. If the committee can, I'm going to count, yeah? So we can strike a pose. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Take a picture. Once more. We're gonna take a group picture with all the speakers. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the speakers. Thank you for the discussions.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you for once again for all the participants. I'm sorry it takes a little bit longer than we expected, but I hope that for all the Muslim participants and also the speakers can get ready to break the fast in about 30 minutes, I guess. So once again, thank you very much. Stay safe. I hope that we can see each other face to face real soon. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sampai ketemu lagi. Saya kembalikan ke Ibu Elsa, Ibu MC. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants, we have come to the end of our program. On behalf of the Indonesian Embassy to the Holy See and the Directorate General of Information and Public Diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, allow me to convey our sincerest appreciation to all speakers and participants for your contribution and active participation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
God bless.
God bless. If I say it right, ciao. Ciao.
Salam Indonesia. Salam Indonesia.
Terima kasih, Dr. Vale.